You're not. It's in the Court of Appeals right now.
So who's suing who?
You're not recognized by the chair, please wait until you are. Mr. Martin, did you have?
Madam Chair,
I thought you were going to say it.
I don't believe it's being appealed on the basis of accepting the safer grant. The mayor is appealing it on the basis of whether or not we had the right to tell him to do it.
That's correct.
So that's
And
next.
that just has nothing to do with the issue.
But that's what Mr. Martin advised us in this.
He is lost at every level. He is just he's wasting money as he has time.
Okay, so we are voting.
We have a motion on the floor.
Yes, so we can vote now.
That'd be fine.
Okay, so we have a motion by Mr. Delo, supported by Ms. Molnar, to appeal, everyone's just discussing it, to appeal the decision of the chair. All those in favor say yes.
Yes.
Fine. All those opposed say no.
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 Oh, there's a surprise.
Mr. Delo?
Yes.
Mr. Seiler?
Yes.
Ms. Muller? Yes. Mr. Stapleton?
Yes.
Ms. Brandana?
No.
Ms. Burke?
No. Motion carries. Now, Mr. D, or I guess, do you have something you want?
Yeah, want to read the motion?
Madam Chair, I'm going to excuse myself from illegal activity.
I think I do too. I really don't want to do this, I don't, especially when we could vote double stations with one motion tonight. So I don't believe your intent.
Whoa!
I don't believe your intent was to open
Ladies and
this.
gentlemen,
That is not what the city is
you've got a
supposed to
vote on
be
the floor.
about.
If you want to leave, you can leave.
Do we have a vote on the floor?
Yes.
Made a motion, that is out of order, and now he made a motion to override the chair.
You got to overrule.
The motion again, right?
Yes. Well, he wants to read the motion if he wants to do it, correct?
It's illegal.
Of course.
Let's see now, we got three of them that left because they didn't like what was going on. The mayor and his.
This is a resolution to direct Mayor Lamarand to open shutters with the fire station and reinstate ALS. Excuse me.
Please, I have some order here. Mr. Delo can speak.
Keep down.
Mr. Delo.
Whereas the city of Taylor made applications for federal staffing for adequate fire and emergency response, safer.
I'm sorry,
The
Mr.
approval
Delo.
of Mayor Lam, I'm the patient man.
No, I'm sorry, it's not you, it's talking in the back. So excuse yourself if you must have a conversation.
Want to have a conversation?
Mr. Ramick? Okay, Mr. Delo?
Whereas the city of Taylor was notified that it had been awarded the federal safer grant for a 2-year period totaling $8 million, and whereas Taylor Mayor Lamarand attempted to reduce the value of the federal grant and was refused, and whereas Taylor Mayor Lamarand finally refused to accept the federal safer grant at all, and whereas the charter of the city of Taylor in section 16.2 states, the council shall see that provision is made for the public peace and health and for the safety of persons and property. And whereas the Taylor City Council, acting fully within the context of the city charter, directed the mayor of Taylor to immediately accept the federal safer grant, thereby providing the residents of Taylor the greatest degree of safety. Now the Taylor Treasury is supplemented by the safer grant for the poor. And whereas Mayor Lamarand continued to refuse to accept the $8 million federal safer grant award, and whereas the city of Taylor charter in section 3M, or section 5.3M, states, he shall have such other powers and perform such other duties as may be prescribed by law, this charter, or as may be required of him by ordinance or by direction of the council. And whereas Mayor Lamarand refused to perform the duties directed by the city council in contravention to the direction of the city council direction, and whereas Taylor City Council was forced to seek a court decision to force the mayor to accept the $8 million safer grant in the name of the safety of the residents of the city of Taylor, and whereas the Circuit Court Judge Prentice Edwards determined that the mayor must accept the SAFER grant within a specific number of days, and whereas Mayor Lamarand either refused or ignored Judge Edwards' order, and whereas Mayor Lamarand was cited for refusal to abide by Judge Edwards' ruling and ordered back to court, and whereas Mayor Lamarand was directed to appear before Circuit Court Judge Kathleen McDonald, who found him in contempt of court and ordered him to accept the $8 million SAFER grant, and whereas Mayor Lamarand either refused or ignored Judge Kathleen McDonald's order and was subsequently directed to return to Judge McDonald's court for refusing to abide by her court order, and whereas Mayor Lamarand contended he did not know he had agreed to Judge McDonald's order to accept the $8 million federal SAFER grant, and whereas Mayor Lamarand agreed to accept the $8 million SAFER grant, and whereas said SAFER grant accepted by Mayor Lamarand states, the city of Taylor, Michigan is requesting a SAFER grant funding to rehire 32 laid-off firefighters. SAFER funded positions will be used to restore fire suppression at offing levels, reopen 2 closed fire stations, improve response time, improve efficiency of fire incidents, and increase safety to the city, surrounding communities, infrastructure, and firefighters, and SAFER funding personnel will immediately relieve such deficiencies by combining with our remaining fire officers to establish 3 24-hour shifts of 18 fire suppression personnel, reopen 2 closed fire stations, and staff each with 4 shifts of fire engine companies, staff 1 remaining central fire station with a 5-man company, a battalion chief, vehicle for incident command, and staff over 100-foot aerial ladder truck. And these firefighters are immediately capable of initiating response and mitigating emergencies of fire rescue, emergency medical service at the advanced life support level, natural and man-made disasters, including accidental and intentional CBRNE or hazardous materials incidents. And whereas the SAFER grant, which has been accepted by Mayor Lamarand, clearly promises the city will reopen and fully staff and equip the 2 closed fire stations and provide advanced life support services. And whereas Taylor's mayor has, when asked when the stations will be reopened, consistently provided a destructive pretension in contravention to the spirit and wording of the SAFER grant and the orders of the courts, and in an apparent attempt to justify his refusal to reopen and fully staff these equipped 2 closed fire stations. And whereas the Taylor City Council has a sworn duty to act according to the charter mandated responsibility for the safety of all Taylor residents and its responsibility to honor court decisions and contractual agreements, now therefore be resolved that this Taylor City Council direct as mandated by the city charter in the name of the safety of all Taylor residents and in accordance with the wording of the federal SAFER grant application and the mandate of 2 circuit court judges, that the mayor of the city of Taylor instruct the Taylor Fire Department administrative staff to reopen the fully staffed and equip the E-Course and Eureka Road fire stations within 15 days of the passage of this resolution, and be it further resolved that the Taylor Fire Department administration shall be directed to immediately pursue complete certification and or licensure of the department and all affected personnel to return implement full advanced life support assistance to the citizens of Taylor. Be it finally resolved that immediately upon full licensure and certification, City of Taylor firefighters/paramedics shall resume all emergency rescue duties performed prior to the cessation of said responsibilities, and dispatch workers shall contact Taylor fighter paramedics as primary responders. And I so move. Is there support for the motion?
Support.
I have a motion by Mr. Delo, supported by Mr. Stapleton. Any discussion? Absolutely. First of all, recognizing that our Corporation Council has called this resolution wrong, illegal, violates our charter, language in it, to me, I mean, who's proving this language? Your attorney, Mr. Barr, or maybe your friend, Mr. Craig, who gave to your campaign, I don't know. But,
Oh my God.
Was that an
I have
insinuation?
the floor. Okay. But to say that the grant clearly promises anything in terms of 2 buildings, none of that was demanded, that the reopen and fully staff, and nothing about building usage or anything was ever dictated from a grant, as you know, Mr.
Madam
Delo.
Chair, the italicized wording comes directly from the grant. Directly from the grant. Which
I'm
I'm
not
sure
talking
you
about the
read.
italicized wording, I'm talking about the paragraph you threw in it right below it. Okay, so in other
Read the
sort of
grant.
paragraphs. However, what I would like to say is that we had a chance tonight to work together, just as was called upon in our pre-meeting prayer to work together. We did have a chance to open up the stations, to not incur any additional charges of equipment or anything. Mr. Delo, you must know.
Madam
these
Chair,
cost
do
money.
not assume.
I have the floor,
Counsel.
sir. I have the floor.
If all you do is just take the personal
Okay,
things out of it,
but
just make the statement.
my
Let
statement
her
is,
finish.
and that's what I want to finish, just that, my statement is that we are in a 5-year deficit elimination plan with the state. All of this has come down on our community and lots of communities like ours. Every community in this situation like ours that didn't have a rainy day fund, didn't have a big fund balance to fall back on, wasn't planning ahead maybe properly, and then got hit on top of it by this economy and the reduction in revenues and the increase in costs. All of our costs have gone up for our pension funds and so forth. I mean, Mr. Delo, you have to know, we don't have a 5-year deficit elimination plan because everything's hunky-dory here. We can't do everything the way we used to do it, sir. That's my contention. So if we had a way to do it in a creative manner that would have put our